This is a pretty cool garden. You can tell the people that live here love plants because they've really got an eye for it. The problem with this little space is there's nowhere to sit and enjoy it. So I'm going to use this lawn and create a really cozy little nook. That's a word Tara uses inside the house, but you can create it outside in the garden. I've got an idea to do a couple of different bench seats. Now, one of them will be a Gabion, which is just literally wire with stones or anything inside it that holds it together. This was commonplace out the front of every primary school across Australia for years and years and years, and lots of people used it as their boundary fence because it was relatively cheap. But what I'm going to do is cut it in half, get rid of this triangle bit at the top, and make my Gabions out of it. Now, what do I say about boundary fences and pool fences? The darker the colour, the less you notice it. So I'm going to spray everything black. Just like a pool fence, it makes it look modern, it hides it, you see through and you see what's behind it. Now with the fence, I've taken an extra check out in the corner so I can get a nice tight fit to the corner. And I'm just using your good old-fashioned zip ties. I put it into place, which is just the temporary version of holding them together. The one that's actually going to hold them together are these little butterfly clips. Now, concreters use them to tie one piece of Rio to the other. You just put them around there like that. You grab the two holes, and this little tool will cost you 10 bucks. So these spikes that run along the bottom can go straight into the ground. Now, that'll stop the bottom from bellowing out, but it also means your chair will sit level with whatever you're laying it on. What you need is a plank of wood so you're not bashing the metal. You just go around and slowly tap the whole thing into the soil. Now, to strengthen up the top, I've just got a length of fence that I've cut down and bent around. And if I pull that in, it stops it from bellowing out. Here comes my little rocks. What we're using is 100mm sandstone. They're rough, of course. Now, if I concentrate on the face, I can get a nice, solid, beautiful pattern to it. I can just backfill the rest. Repeat the process and try and have the least amount of air as possible across that front. So, looking for flat ones. And if you're building this on the side of the Pacific Highway, that's about as much care as you put into it. But because we want this to look good, we're going to pick the faces and get our front as flat as possible. Now, if you do have different sizes, just make sure you're kind of relevant. Don't put all little ones together and then run out of them and put big ones up the other end. So just keep an eye out for what your materials are so you can blend it. Well, we're done, but it's not real comfortable to sit on at the moment, is it? So we're going to work on a timber top. For the bench top, I'm using Select hardwood sleepers. When it says Select, it just means it could be a variety of gum. So you might have black bark or ironbark or red gum. It doesn't really matter. When they're cleaned up, the different colours just give you another feature. Now, these come rough sawn, but if I cut it down to length, then hit it with a planer and with a belt sander, it looks like really expensive, luxurious timber. So 10 minutes work on one of these and you can dress it up yourself. Saves you a ton of money buying something that's already dressed. Well, that is a great example of what the rough sawn looks like and when it's cleaned up. You have a look at the back, it doesn't look like much. But have a look at the front, and it's good enough to be the mantelpiece. Now, I just got some cleats. It's a merbau, it's a hardwood. It'll tie these three together. You won't see it in this, so that'll all be hidden inside the Gabion. And then I'm going to put these, leaving a gap, a bit of wiggle room for the Gabion. So it just means that it can't go forward and back more than about 5mm. But the weight of this bench, it's not going to move anywhere anyway. Now, it is a beautiful, comfortable bench, and because it's 600 wide, It'd easily double as a day bed as well. Dan, up here, come on. Now, if you like this, but you think it might be a little bit above your skill level, I've got another bench to build, which is even easier. There's about 4 cuts and 10 screws, and you can have something that looks like this. Now, for this second bench, I've got 2 sleepers. I'm going to come down the sides, 2 sleepers across the bottom, and then have the other side. So I need 4 of these at $11 each. So it's a $44 bench. Now you can put the riser right on the edge like I'm doing. You can bring it in 50 mil or 100 mil if you like, but I think it's more modern and contemporary out on the end like that. And we're done. Good. Pretty good. Well, we started with a pretty backyard, but nowhere to sit. Now I've given you 2 options that don't cost a lot, but look like you've got a designer into do. Now the Gabion is just the leftovers from what I had here, so that didn't cost anything. I had to overorder the stone so I didn't run out, and I've thrown that in. And the little fire bowl, well, it's about 60 bucks down at Bunnings. Now you've got a beautiful garden, somewhere to sit, and a reason to enjoy it longer. Well, we're back at the makeover house, but we're not landscaping, we're gardening. And I'm excited because rather than showing you what to do and then you have to guess the result, we've got the whole year to show you how it repairs and becomes better. Hedges add a lot of street appeal, and a good hedge can make your house look $1 million. And quite frankly, it's pretty easy to do. Now the hedges I'm going to concentrate on are the biggest ones in this backyard, 2 different types of lily pillies. You've got Syzygium australis and Acmina smithii. And with these 2 different styles of hedges, you need to use 2 different styles of pruning. But don't worry, the basics are always the same. For lots of people, this is an absolute mystery. They don't know where to start or where they're finishing. So if you're nervous about it, just cut light and do it a few times until you get used to it. I go through, do the whole thing, sort of look down the line, see bits that are sticking out, and take them off. And you really can't get it wrong with something like a lily pilly. Once you've gained a bit of confidence, you can then shape the top with a hedge trimmer. And you can pick up something like this quite cheaply. That takes care of the Acmina. And for the Syzygium, this hedging is pretty much done with secateurs and loppers. But the good news is every branch you cut will encourage new growth. And that's what you want with a hedge. All right, here's a little lesson about hedges. If you look through here at about 2/3 up, you can see that there's a little bit more foliage. That's the last time this hedge was brought down. So what I'm going to do is come in here just below where it's pruned last time and give it a haircut. So the new growth will go where that growth is. It'll be a manageable height. So pruning a big hedge and cutting it back hard leaves you with one big problem. Lots and lots of green waste. Well, I've got to say, that took me about 10 minutes or less to do. It was a lot more fun than jumping in the ute, driving to the tip, paying a fortune. And the byproduct, well, it's something I'd probably buy anyway later on. So it's a win, 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 win. To encourage new growth, I've put down a soaker hose and I've added some compost and rooster booster. It's really important when you're using fresh green mulch. For the green to break down and decay, it has to take nitrogen out of the soil. So if you've got plants in your garden where they're sort of going yellow from the base up, it means you need to add a little bit of nitrogen. But these guys, probably getting the first love since the day they were planted. The truth is, we could probably have left these hedges, not mentioned it, and when we did all the big expensive stuff, you wouldn't have even noticed it. But the reality is, this little makeover could be one of the best things we do all year because it'll be lush and green and healthy, making everything look happy. And it took us only a little bit of time, We got free mulch out of it, and it's just a rewarding job. And the best thing about it was I finished it, never had to get off the ground, and I've still got all 10 fingers. Grow, my little lovelies, grow.